All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 21 of Tunesday Tuesday, right here on Twitch and Facebook Live. With yours truly, the host of Tunesday Tuesday, Boston Chris. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And we are super excited about the treat we are bringing to y'all tonight. All the way from across the great Atlantic Ocean, we will be chatting with B. Smith, who is a just released her debut single as a country artist from the United Kingdom. Believe it or not, yeah, country music is not really a huge thing across the pond, and we're definitely going to ask her about that. If you guys are watching on Twitch or Facebook Live, we are live every single Tuesday at 8 p.m. You guys are more than welcome to request songs in the chat, and you're welcome to support the show in any way you want, whether it's donations, bits, etc. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. And I also want to let you guys know, if you are watching on YouTube out there and you're only here for the interview and you'd like to watch the entire show, there will be a link in your description below for the entire recap of episode 21 featuring my new friend B. Smith, who is coming up right now with an interview. We're going to chat with her, so do not go anywhere. We're going to get right into that right now. We have B. Smith here on Tuesday Tuesday. I think this is episode number 21, and B is joining us from across the pond tonight in the United Kingdom. Are you still in Lancashire, where you came from, or are you somewhere else now?
Yeah, at the moment I'm still in Lancashire. Well, we say Lancashire, you guys say Lancashire.
Yeah. Well,
I'm learning the differences, tomato, tomato.
no, you're not wrong, because New Hampshire is New Hampshire, so I guess Lancashire would make better sense. Like we call,
Yeah,
so I mean it's it's the same concept. I don't know why I would have called
yeah.
it Shire. I guess that's the Texas in me now, shining through.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I've been in
Yeah, so,
Texas for 20 years now, even though I grew up in the Northeast. So,
oh
yeah.
wow,
I love the fact that
amazing.
we have you on the show this week, because I love, showing folks from across the pond, from all over the world, which is really fun. I got to ask you though, is the name B actually your name? Is that short for something, or is it a nickname? Is it the real name?
So it's a nickname, B. So it's because my maiden name was Brown, and it used
Oh,
to get shortened to B,
I
and it
gotcha.
stuck.
I gotcha.
So yeah, so it's B. So it's much my God given name was Rachel.
Okay.
So it's probably one of the most English names in England. I went from Rachel Brown and then I got married to Rachel Smith. I was like, so it's
Wow.
big. So
Yeah, I see what you mean. So at least B.
yeah,
Smith is a little bit different now, and
a little bit. Yeah,
you're still kind of honoring your maiden name by doing that, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So man, I got so much to ask you, because typically when I talk to folks from Europe, it's not typically country music. So
Mhm.
how did that happen for you? How did country music permeate into your world to where you're influenced by it?
Gosh, I mean, so I've always loved songwriting, and from a young age, it started off with poetry and things like that. And I didn't actually have access to country music when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, it was more kind of soul influences and folky influence and things
Yeah.
like that. And then, uh, w- I mean, I'm so jealous of the kids these days that just have like any kind of genre available at YouTube. Like they can just go to any part, Spotify and all the rest of it. They can just hear music from everywhere.
Yeah.
It was very limited for me growing up. So I think I first discovered country music when I was in my teens, and we over here, unless you were in like the line dancing clubs and stuff, which I was too young to attend then anyway. Um, like I say, it was limited, so we'd hear of country music from like Leanne Rhymes and Shania Twain, for example, when they kind of crossed over and became a little bit more mainstream. And that was kind of my taste of it. Um, but I really got into it when I discovered Rascal Flats. They were like my first country influence, and I was like, "Oh my lord, this is." I was hooked straight from there. So it was the storytelling and the songwriting for me, which is what I really kind of responded to and resonated with. I was like, yeah, this is now. I felt like I finally found my genre that I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
So
that vulnerability in music, right? That doesn't really exist outside of country. I mean, it does to an extent in folk and Americana, but those are also like,
mhm,
step cousins of country music anyway. So,
sure,
um, but
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
it's so interesting because we had early on in this show we had a gentleman named Rob Wheeler that is also from the UK,
mhm,
and he's also a country
mhm,
music singer songwriter.
amazing,
So it's so
yeah,
interesting to hear you guys talk about how you're able to get those influences. And you made a good point about how younger consumers, fans today have an
mhm,
easier way of consuming that kind of music.
yeah,
Whereas for
yeah.
you just had to hope that it somehow got through whatever it was you were listening to.
Yeah, and I mean that, that directly impacted when I was performing here like 10 or so years ago, and I was performing, I was doing what we call a circuit here. And there wasn't an audience for it either. So as much as I loved country music and I loved Eva Cassidy, and again it was that I loved the country covers and things that she did as well, like, and her arrangements of things. Like I wanted to perform those, and sometimes I did, but it was kind of lost. Like there wasn't an audience for it, which was really frustrating because it just meant that I had to, in order to perform and to get bookings, I was doing what they only knew mainstream.
Hmm.
So it was kind of a, back then on the circuit for me, if you said you liked country, and to be fair, I still get it now, they'll say, oh, do you like Dolly Parton? And
Yeah,
that's all they know,
yeah,
and I get it, but at the same time it's like, god, it's so much bigger than that.
it
Like
is.
it's amazing now that it is becoming so mainstream, particularly over here and in Europe as well, because it gives artists like me a chance to be really authentic in what we want to do with our songwriting and what we want to do with our music. There's now that um, avenue for us to go down, which I kind of always thought that's my thing in private, that I listen to country music on my own, and no one else will really appreciate it. So there's definitely a lot more opportunity for sure to pursue things like that.
Well,
So
that's good news. But do you feel like because of that lack of exposure or being able to be who you are creatively, really kind of stifled your chances to songwrite at the time? Because it would seem to
oh
me
yeah,
like if you're not able to experiment or put out your art and you're only doing covers that people in the area are enjoying, that can really kind of
yeah.
hold you back creatively. So how do you separate those two things as an artist?
So I mean, at the time, I became really frustrated, and I
Yeah.
just thought maybe this isn't for me. And as a creative, if you're not doing something that you authentically love to do, you kind of, it's a bit soul destroying, really. So I would, for example, I would try and make it so that my first set was like really acoustic and really stripped back, and I would do my own arrangements of covers and things to try and put a bit more of myself into that.
Yeah.
And you get, sometimes you're singing to the walls. That still happens in some places, but you'd get some people that were listening, and I really enjoyed that. It'd take them a minute and go, "Oh, it's this song," and then they'd say, "Oh, I really like what you did with that." But that was a dime a dozen. It didn't happen a lot. That so you were kind of, back then you was only as good as your last drunken sing along, which was really frustrating. And that still happens now, don't get me wrong, but we're entertainers, aren't we? So that's what we're here to do. But at the same time, it just made me think maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe it is more the songwriting element that I'm
Hmm.
supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave up performing, to be honest, because it was getting to the point where I knew that I was having to go to the kind of the same venues and do the same old stuff, and I just thought, I'm not doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I hear so many people in music tell me that they were born in the wrong century.
oh yeah,
Sounds to me like
the
you
wrong
were born
the
in
wrong country as
in the
well, by
wrong
the way.
area. Sounds to me like you were possibly born in the wrong area. Like Texas would be
Yeah,
perfect, or anywhere in the
yeah,
southeastern United States. That's gonna be tough though,
yeah,
man, because like
yeah,
you can't turn off creativity, right? Like you just can't turn it
yeah,
off. It's always gonna be there, and you're
yeah,
gonna love what you love,
mhm,
and that's just the way it
yeah,
is. So that's going to be
yeah,
frustrating. Seems like probably a small word compared to how it really was. Maybe aggravating is better a word because, like, I'm sure you
yeah,
love where you're from. We all love where we're from for the most part.
yeah,
But if
Yeah.
that's not really, helping you with your process and getting yourself out there in a creative way, like I said,
Hmm.
you can't just turn that off. Um,
Yeah.
I love
And this
your.
is it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, so I had, different jobs and things. I worked in mental health for many years. I'm a huge advocate for mental health, and as much as I love that, it was singing was always there. It was always there, and I'm thinking, wait, is it? This is where it came. Like literally this time last year, I was like, no, I've got to do something with it. I'm going to try again. I'm going to go for it. And because I don't do regrets, and I didn't want to live with, I thought we've got the things like TikTok now, and just give it a go and see what's the worst that can happen, and now I'm talking to you, so it's
Yeah,
been definitely worthwhile.
it's cool. And now you're playing all over the world. You're not just playing in the UK. I know you are playing over there now, but when you're
Yeah.
playing in the United States or somewhere else on the planet that's not home, and then you come back home, do you kind
Mhm.
of see a difference in the performances at home as versus going away from home?
I'm going to say ask me that again after I've been to the States, because I feel like that's going to be where I feel like that's going to be really kind of affirming to me and validating for me as performing over there. And like you say, there's no place like home. But in saying that, when everything I want to experience is rooted over there, and I can't wait to just experience it over there in its
Yeah.
true authentic form.
And so you haven't played in
So
the States yet.
not yet,
Are
no.
you?
So I'm
Is
doing.
that coming? Are you planning on some shows over here?
Yes, I've got a tour coming in July. So I'm coming out on well, come at the end of June, but my first shows are on the 4th and the 5th of July in Louisiana. So there's a festival called Tailgates and Tan Lines, which I'm playing at. That's my first show, and then we're touring around. We're going to Texas, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, um, hitting Nashville,
Mm.
Oklahoma, Kentucky. There's quite a few places that we're doing. So yeah, I
So
cannot wait.
yeah,
So uh, Mississippi has already Hattiesburg in Mississippi. So I'm so excited.
yeah. I bet you are, man. That would be so fulfilling. I feel as an artist of
Oh,
any kind, just getting your sound
yeah,
out there beyond your own four walls is so important, right? And
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
So how long have you been like pursuing the whole music thing?
Oh God. So I started songwriting when I was probably about 15, 16, I think. And that was at the time, it was kind of like teenage angst and
Yeah.
first kind of breakups and, the usual stuff. It was more like a kind of a diary back then, really. And I spent my brother, who's an amazing guitarist and singer, he taught himself to play guitar, and we kind of, hung about for a bit. And his best friend at the time, I became really good friends with him, and we had a couple of summers where we were literally just writing and playing and doing open mics, and he was into all different genres. He's a really successful singer songwriter. He lives out in the States actually, um, and he just went for it, and he studied his craft, and he just went for it, and I was really in awe of that. So although the genre that I was into, there wasn't a market for it here. That's where I felt really kind of stifled, as I talked about earlier. So I kind of just there was like open mics and karaoke competitions and things like that I would do. And also my family were of the viewpoint that singing wasn't a proper job, so that was also very instrumental in me not pursuing it, and kind of just thinking that, well, maybe it's not for me, and it's just like a dream that one of these, that people say that you're not going to ever do anything with it. It's
Mm.
just a pipe dream, and I think it's when you hear that a lot, it's very easy to believe that.
Yeah. And
Um,
then you start
very,
that feeds your mental illness too. It really truly does because like you're always going to be your worst enemy when it comes to, self-validation and self-confidence and
yeah,
self-reflection, all of those things. So if your outside sources are not kind of, the opposite of what you're telling yourself, then that can be really
yeah,
verifying to you, even though it shouldn't be, right? Like you should
yeah,
you should believe in yourself, and all of us should do that, but it's easier said than done. But like
Yeah.
when you're telling yourself you're not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, and then other people are saying, well, that's not a real job, or you should do this, you should
Mm-hmm.
do that. Yeah, I can feel that. Like that's gonna be
Yeah.
very verifying for you. So how did you defeat that? Because here you are, you're doing it. So
Um, I mean, simple fact of the matter is I grew some balls and said, no, I'm going for it.
I love it. Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I I became a mom, and that it was really that was a turning point for me, because my daughter's 6 years old now, and I have someone who's watching me, and I'm teaching her that you can either do what's expected of you or you do what you want, you know? So it was more for me a conscious decision of, I want to at least show her that yes, it's taking me longer, and it's frustrating that I didn't do this in my 20s because I didn't have the support to do it back then. Um, but it's never too late to go for what you want. You've got to work hard and achieve what you want to do. Like, I don't know how long this wave is going to last for. I'm on it, and she's seeing that, and she's seeing that you work hard, and it's doing things like this, like late at night, and you doing shows, and you're writing, and it's just not giving up on what you want. And that's, for me as a parent, one of the most important lessons I can teach her. So she's definitely my main motivation for
So
doing
I
it.
mean, essentially, you became a mom, and you're listening to yourself teach her, and in essence, it's teaching you to get over your own imposter
Yeah,
syndrome and stuff like that. Like you can't teach your daughter
yeah,
if you don't believe it yourself, right?
exactly. What a hypocrite,
Yep.
And I was like, I can't, I can't sit here and say to her, you can be anything, you can do what you want, you just got to really work hard at it. And then going to bed at night going, hang on a minute, I needed someone to tell me that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell myself that. And that's what a lot of us, unfortunately, that's what we have to go through, because you've got to be your own champion, haven't you? That's what
Yep.
it's all about, isn't it?
Yep. I love that. And here we are. It's
Yeah.
2025, and I mean,
Mhm.
essentially, the song that we're featuring tonight is your first single, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
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 So I mean, what an accomplishment! And I want to talk about the song
Thank
here
you.
in a minute, but every single week we have obviously we have a special guest on the show, and that special guest gets to choose a different song to feature other than their
Mhm.
own as well. And so this week you have chosen a phenomenal song by a phenomenal artist, and I want to hear why you chose this one. You chose "There You Are" by Ashley Monroe. So what was it
Yeah.
about this song that you wanted people to see this week?
Oh my God. I think it's criminally underrated, this song. It's just, when I first heard it, like, Ashley Monroe's got one of those voices that just makes me stop what I'm doing and just listen. Like, I've loved her since she was in the Pistol Annies. Like, you know, I love her sound. I love her writing is incredible. And when I first, it literally the first few bars of the piano, I heard it, and it's that kind of song that makes me go, oh, this is gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
And then a vocal on it, it's so haunting. And I just think the whole arrangement of it is so true to what the song is about. And it's one of those, it's, again, it's the storytelling. It's one of those kind of tricky subjects that people don't really talk about. But when you listen to and I'm a lyrics girl, right? So I like a song because of the lyrics. They will determine whether I like a song or not. Melody's great, but
Mm-hmm.
melody's whatever. That's second to me. So it's not just a hook that I'm after. It's the lyric that I'm listening to. And I heard that, I was like, oh my God. And when she sings it, and there you are, it's just so haunting and stunning. I just absolutely adore this song.
Encapsulates what country music is all about for sure. And
Mhm.
when you chose the
Mhm.
song, I was like, huh, yeah, I see why she would choose this song based on what I knew
Oh,
about
really?
you and the frustration and the
Okay.
aggravation that you've dealt with. It made perfect sense to me that you chose the song, and I was like, this is so cool. Can't wait to talk about it. But yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk about the big moment for B. Smith, the debut single. It's called Little Girl's Heart. This has to
Mhm.
be a labor of love and a long time coming. So tell us about the song and how it came to be.
Yeah, so I co-wrote this with a really good friend of mine called Nick Sagar. He's a producer, a wonderful, wonderful guy here in the UK. He literally lives around the corner from me, and that happened quite by chance as well. I was looking for a producer, And you know how it is these days, you put something on social media looking for a producer to work with, and he kept getting tagged. So we messaged each other, and I was expecting him to be like in a big city quite far from me and to travel and stuff. And he literally lives 8 minutes from my house, right? So I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So I went there, and I didn't really know kind of what to expect to begin with our writing session, but we were just talking about, you know, life and life experiences and country music and stuff. And this this story came out, and I wasn't intending on this being my debut single at first, to be honest. I'm kind of go with what I feel in the moment. That's kind of how I work and how I write. And we talked about this, and lyrics just started, it came quite organically, really. Lyrics just started flying out, and it was really important to me to, because it's my experience, this story. And in country music particularly, I was a bit nervous at first about releasing this one, because country music, in my experience of how I've heard of father figures in country music, they're all, you know, daddy's boots are very hard to fill, and daddy's going to walk me down the aisle, and they're these amazing men. And this wasn't my experience. So I thought, if I'm going to be true about this, I'm not going to sit here and write songs about trucks and whiskey. First of all, there's too many of them, and they're great,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I don't drink whiskey. I do drive a truck, but I don't drink whiskey. So I'm not going to ever write a song for the sake of writing one.
Mhm.
So it's, I was a bit nervous about how this would be received, but the response to it has been unbelievable. Like the people that have messaged me, and you know that was their experience too of growing up and their father was absent, and that they wish that they'd have had this song when they were younger and going through that to resonate with. So that's the power of music to me. It's all about the connection. So I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I know this is your first song, but every single song is a journey. And what I mean
Mm,
by that is from beginning to end, from the time you're writing the song, putting it together,
yeah,
trying to get the lyrics right, trying to get the melody right. Then you take the song into the studio. You have to figure out
yeah,
which instrumentation to put where. Is there a
yeah,
harmony here? Do you want, you know, this
yeah,
to be here, that to be there? Then you get out of the studio and you publish it, you distribute it, and you do all of that, and then the
mm,
fun happens. And what I mean by
yeah,
fun is the work, because then the work is
yeah,
selling the song, performing the song, marketing it, doing interviews like this. Every song's a journey, and you'll find that out the
yeah.
more songs you do, and each journey is different with each song. I'm excited for
Mm,
you because this
thank
is a
you.
great song for your first one, coming from the
Thank
UK
you.
of all places. The song was produced in the UK, written in the UK,
Mhm.
all of that. So imagine a country music song completely organically done in the United Kingdom. That is so exciting. And
Yeah.
hopefully you're changing the culture over there when it comes to what they consume as fans of music.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we country music over here is massive now, like I said earlier, and
Hmm.
I'm so thankful for that, because you know, you are, it's like the whole Beyonce movement, and love her or hate her, you know, people have got their opinions on it. And there are a lot of people that have kind of jumped on the bandwagon now, and there's a lot of artists who weren't country who now are country because you know, it's selling at the moment. That's
Yep.
fine, you know, let people do what they want to do. Whatever brings more people to country music, I'm thankful for, because you know, even my friends and family, truth be told, is they're not fans of country music. They never were. They kind of have to be now.
They will be now. That's right. I was just going to say, they will be
Yeah, yeah.
now. Yep.
They love me, so they're just like, okay, whatever you want to do, I will support you.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, so that's, you know, for me, it's amazing that there, like I said earlier, there are these opportunities to perform that and for it to be received. But ultimately, for me, I think you kind of take for granted where you are from, and you can't predict how something will be received, but you can have a guess. But for me, I think for this to have the response that it's had and the airplay that it's had in the States particularly has been so overwhelming and validating to me as a UK country artist, you know. So when I first started pursuing this, I'm thinking, well, you know, what they're gonna think. Like, what does she know about country music? Like, she's from the UK. Like, what qualifies her to sing about country music? And you see this on social media all the time, particularly with older fans of more traditional country music. That personally is my favourite style of music. Um, there's a country pop movement that's happening at the minute that's doing really, really well, and that rubs a few country fans up the wrong way. I've seen it. You know, people don't tend to. As I think it's kind of a split between people either loving it or hating it.
Mm.
So for me, releasing this, it was quite nerve wracking to see how this would be received, but it's been unbelievable. The support I've had is amazing. So thank you to everybody for that, by the
Yeah,
way.
I'm really, really excited for you. So for folks who are just hearing about you, where's the best place for them to support you and follow you on your journey and all of that stuff? Where would you send them?
So first of all, go to my website because all my socials are linked on there. That's the easiest thing. So it's bsmithmusic.com.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's on there. My tour details are on there too. Where I'm playing is on there in the UK at the moment. Also, merchandise and things is on there as well. So yeah, everything you need to know is on there. And there's a mailing list and stuff that you can subscribe to as well.
And it looks like the U.S. tour starts in July, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
First show is in Monroe, Louisiana in July, and then Mississippi, and that's what you have here so far. And I'm looking forward to more dates for that. Hopefully, you'll be in my neck of the woods. I'm in Northeast Texas, so who knows? You might just come through here.
Amazing.
So,
Yeah. So I know that. So the team over there are working really hard, and a huge shout out to my record label, Bookshot Records. Like, they have been so supportive, been wonderful throughout this whole process, and I have management with KRM Management, who are awesome as well, and they're working really hard behind the scenes to get this tour underway and booking these dates and things. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Big things in store for B. Smith. I'm just going to recap everybody so you guys can make sure you're following her on your platforms of choice. The website is B Smith Music, and again, spell out B, it's BEE, smithmusic.com.
Yeah.
Very important on that. You can see her full name on your screen, and the link to her webpage will also be in the description if you're watching the recap or the interview of this. Of course, the live version won't have that. This live version, we don't have that. I'll make sure that I link that in the chat, though, for those of you guys that are watching. I'll link that right now. The Facebook is B Smith Music Official. The TikTok is B Smith Music. Instagram is B Smith Music Official, and make sure you guys are following there. SoundCloud, which is an underrated form for artists. You guys need to be checking that out if you're not. It's B Smith Music over there. And big, follow her on Spotify. That will really help her a lot. Spotify is unfortunately something we have to deal with. But yeah, being a monthly follower on there, a monthly listener, is huge for the artists. B, thank you so much for spending some time with me tonight. I know it's super, super late over there, and thank you for hanging out with us.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate the love. Thank you very much.
Of course, and welcome back anytime. So the next time you have a song and you're on this journey again, we'll talk about how the journey has changed. How's that sound?
Oh, it's coming. So I've been in the studio working hard. So I've got another 2 that are ready very soon. So they're actually, one is being mastered at the moment. So more
exciting
details
stuff
to come on that.
So the journey has already started on the second song. That's exciting.
Oh, it has. Yeah. I've been a busy bee, as would say.
Yeah, I see that. Pun intended, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
See you.
All right, guys. That was B. Smith, all the way from Lancashire, UK. Hopefully I can figure out actually how to say where she's from. I think it's Lancashire. We'll go with that. She can admonish me if I'm wrong again. I'm just so cool to be able to talk to artists from all over the world, whether it's from the United States, Texas, the Northeast, across the pond. We've had UK and Denmark, and it's so cool. I'm trying to get an artist on one of the shows from from Ukraine, I think, or no, Holland. So it's just so cool. There's great music all over the world, and I'm hoping to find as many awesome artists as we can. As you guys may know, if you're watching this live, we're going to be playing a lot of music now, but this little part of the show here is just to remind everybody that's watching on YouTube that you can click the link below for the episode 21 recap. If you're here just with the interview, click the recap link if you want to see all the music.